Before Napoleon Hill, the forgotten genius of Samuel Smiles. Most people think the self-help movement began with Think and Grow Rich. They know the name Napoleon Hill, but few have heard of Samuel Smiles. Yet decades before Hill ever put pen to paper, Smiles was already shaping the world with a philosophy that would become the bedrock of self-improvement. This is the story of the forgotten genius who paved the way for everything we now call personal development. Before Napoleon Hill, there was Samuel Smiles, the roots of self-help. Let's go back to 1859. A quiet man named Samuel Smiles publishes a book titled Self-Help. It wasn't flashy. It didn't promise fast riches. It didn't talk about manifestation or laws of attraction. What it offered instead was something far more powerful: the truth. In a world reeling from industrial revolution and social upheaval, self-help was a rallying cry for personal responsibility, discipline, and character. Smiles wrote, "Heaven helps those who help themselves." It wasn't just a catchy line, it was a philosophy of life. His book wasn't about getting lucky, it was about becoming worthy, by building yourself from the inside out, through honest work, steady habits, and self-respect, the philosophy that preceded a movement. Long before Napoleon Hill spoke of definiteness of purpose, Samuel Smiles was saying, "The duty of self-improvement is the first and primary duty of man." Think about that. A man in the 1800s saying, "You're responsible for your own future, your own progress, your own greatness." That was radical. He wasn't selling dreams. He was teaching discipline. He didn't tell you to visualize success. He told you to build it brick by brick, failure by failure. His message was simple but powerful. Success isn't something that happens to you. It's something you become, day by day. Why Smiles was forgotten. So if Samuel Smiles was such a foundational thinker, why don't we hear about him today? The truth is, Smiles didn't market himself like Hill. He didn't build an empire. He wasn't chasing fame or selling seminars. He was a thinker, a writer, a humble man with a bold idea. Over time, louder voices drowned out the quiet ones. Quick fixes replaced slow growth. Success became a product, not a process. And yet, Smiles' work remains timeless, because unlike trends, the truth never expires. Smiles versus Hill. The key differences. Napoleon Hill said, "What the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Samuel Smiles would have said, "Only through effort, patience, and endurance does achievement become possible." Hill focused on the mind, visualization, belief, ambition. Smiles focused on the will, habits, action, and virtue. Hill believed in masterminds and powerful associations. Smiles believed in inner transformation and individual accountability. Both had their place, but Smiles was foundational. He built the mental framework that thinkers like Hill would later expand. Smiles' impact in today's world. In our dopamine-chasing, hustle-glorifying culture, Smiles reminds us that greatness isn't loud. It's quiet, invisible, daily. In a world that wants to go viral, Smiles would say, "Go inward." He would urge us not to look for hacks, but to build character, not to seek shortcuts, but to embrace long roads. Because the man or woman who cultivates self-respect will never be poor in spirit. In the age of fast success, Smiles brings back the long game. Timeless lessons from Samuel Smiles. Here's what Smiles still teaches us. Discipline is destiny. You don't need luck. You need consistency. Character is wealth. Integrity, grit, and patience will outlast any trend. True growth is invisible. The most important changes happen within. When no one's watching, when no one's clapping, you are the architect of your life, not your circumstances, not your past. You. Call to reflection. So before there was Think and Grow Rich, before the self-help industry had a name, before gurus and TED Talks and morning routines, there was Samuel Smiles, a man who believed that the greatest wealth was within, that the noblest work was self-improvement, and that ordinary people could lead extraordinary lives, not through luck, but through effort, through character, through self-help. So the next time you hear the word self-help, remember where it began and remember what it really means. It's not a slogan, it's a path. And Samuel Smiles was the one who drew the map. If the story moved you, share it. Let's bring Samuel Smiles back into the light, because some ideas are too powerful to stay forgotten.